Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us on today's virtual career fair. Really happy that you all could be here. We are going to have a fantastic panel for the next 30 minutes. We are just waiting for Tessa from Metrolinx to pop back in. She was having some difficulty with her camera, but I am joined by Serge and James. We're going to go around. We're going to introduce them in a moment. I just want to do some introductory comments before we dive into the panel. Firstly, we want to make this as interactive and informative as possible for everyone watching. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to place them in the event chat, and we'd be happy to get to them as we go along here. We're going to talk a little bit about each of our panelists and their background in recruiting, and maybe they'll offer up some starting advice to get our panel going. We want to keep this really positive. We know the pandemic has had quite an effect on all of us, whether we're employed in a career transition, a student, a new grad. It's been really hard for everyone. So we want to keep this light, positive, be as inspiring, give you as many takeaway points as we can for your job search. TorontoJobs.ca is presenting the event today, and very happy to be a resource and as much assistance to candidates in the GTA. I know we have people outside of the GTA on the platform today as well. So hopefully we're going to end this event on a positive note. So just want to firstly say thank you to all of our panelists for being here, taking the time out of your day, to share your expertise. You guys have all have amazing experience within the recruiting industry. Hi, Tessa.
Hi.
We're just doing some intros. You made it. Perfect timing.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome. So we're going to go through and do some introductions with all of our panelists, and then we're going to get right into, some advice. 30 minutes goes by very quickly. And then we're going to talk a lot about the roles that our recruiters on the panel today are recruiting for, and perhaps we'll share some career links and more information about how you can apply or get in touch with them. So without taking up too much more time, I know we're running a little late and we apologize for that. Just want to do some introductions. So we'll go around and we'll start with you, Serge. I've learned he has a very unique company name. He's a director of talent there. So really excited to hear more about you and your organization.
Thank you, Rachel. So my name is Serge Boudreau. I'm the Director of Talent Acquisition at a company called Robots and Pencils. So just to give you a quick what Robots and Pencils means, it actually describes the talent that we hire. So Robots is all our technical staff. So this is from data scientists to web developers to mobile developers. Then our pencils is our creative. So this is our UX designers, creative designers, illustrators, and we try to basically blend science with humanity. So hence the name Robots and Pencils. For myself, I've been in recruitment for 20 years, and 10 of those years were actually working for major job boards like Workopolis and Indeed. So I did that for 10 years, came back, and I've been in the recruitment space leading talent acquisition teams for the last 4 years. After that, a little bit of a break. And I also host the #1 HR podcast in Canada called the Recruitment Flex. So you can check that out. It's advice geared towards the talent acquisition space. So thank you, Rachel.
Very awesome. So we're looking forward to your diverse background in recruiting and the different kind of areas you come from. So really looking forward to that. And thank you for being on the platform. So James, we'll go next with you, or I'm just kind of going around in the sequence on my screen here. Maybe a brief introduction. And I know you talked a little bit about some common questions you've had from job seekers on the platform today. So maybe we can cover that as well.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Excited to share any tips or wisdom I can. So I've been in real estate construction recruitment for almost 7 years now. Ventured off of running my own real estate construction agency, working with a lot of different residential and commercial construction developers and builders. And what that means is if you run a real estate construction company, we definitely can help find you talent, aka anything from marketing, HR, finance, construction staff, IT even. We do the full gamut of skills specifically within a construction company. And in talking with a number of different people and job seekers on the platform, one of the common questions that kept coming up was, how do I get a job in Canada without having many years of experience? I have 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 years of experience back home, but what's my differentiator? How do I really set myself apart? And did you want me to touch on that now, Rachel? Or did you want us to come back?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Let's
just fairly quickly, because I know we only have a brief amount of time here, but a few things I was putting putting down to really help diversify yourself is, I mean, the reality is I see it all the time. I'm sure Serge, you see it all the time as well. Clients want people who have most of Canadian experience because it's most relatable to their job. The one caveat I will say with that, there's a few things you can do to separate yourself. One is look for global companies. So by global companies is they actually have an office in where you're back home. So for example, in my space, there's a company called Multiplex Construction. Actually, they're the largest construction company on the planet right now. They have offices in the UK, offices in all over the place. So it's a lot easier for you to get in the door because they know your background experience and they can translate that very well. Number two, the biggest thing they want is somebody to come in and actually solve a problem. So if you can go in and you're in an interview and they say, yes, your experience looks great, but you only have 1 year of a Canadian experience, and you say, obviously, yes, that's correct. And you've obviously showed them your profile, you show them all those highlights. The second thing is to offer up a micro internship. This will help you show your experience and your expertise. Say, hey, what's the biggest problem you have right now? Let me show you what I can do. Let me show you my skills. Let me take something off your plate and take it off your to-do list so I can show you. And this is why I can get above the rest and that'll set you apart from those other people who have the Canadian experience. And last but not least, just find people at that job that you're applying for, the direct hiring managers who went to the same school as you. Looking through your alumni saying, hey, we went to Humber College together, went to York University together. Hey, I'd love an opportunity to chat with you and see how we can get my foot in the door there. So there's some tips that I thought I'd share right off here. Go and yeah, I'm excited to hear what Tessa is up to.
Awesome. Thanks so much. So thank you for the segue to Tessa. All right, Tessa. So Tessa, you're in talent acquisition for Metrolinx. I know a lot of people have been asking about Metrolinx, careers at Metrolinx. So if you could give us a brief intro of your background, maybe in recruiting, and a little bit about Metrolinx.
All right. So I am Tessa Sebro, and I've been with Metrolinx now for about 4.5 years. And prior to that, 11 years within Aon Hewitt, which is a global firm that, as James mentioned, Metrolinx recruits for a variety of positions in a variety of areas because of the scope of the projects that we work on to streamline transit across the Greater Golden Horseshoe. So we do have departments that take care of the communications piece, and we have planning roles, and we have engineers, and we have lawyers, and we have marketers, and we have a very broad or expansive variety of expertise that all comes together to create the whole and to help bring things to fruition. I specifically am aligned with the legal, marketing, and Office of the CEO portfolios. And so the roles that I recruit for are typically in those areas, but I do also support planning roles and communications roles and positions in other areas. If you are interested, we do post our positions as they become available on our career site, and it is a very competitive process, and it involves a lot of different people coming together to assess candidates from different lenses. So some of the assessment that we do is technical and specific to the type of role that you're looking for, and some of it is behavioral and assessing how aligned a person's individual values are to our organization's values and culture.
That's perfect. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So we're going to do maybe about 10 minutes of kind of just talking about the recruiting process and diving into all of the years of experience we have on this panel to kind of talk about, what are the biggest challenges that, recruitment's facing. We're going to talk a little bit about what our recruiters on the panel are looking for on resumes. Everything has shifted to virtual interviews. A lot of things have changed in recruitment over the last year very rapidly. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So we'll do that for 10 minutes, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the roles that some of our recruiters have on the platform. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. So Serge, maybe we'll start with you. You come from a tech background or tech space. What have you seen, what are some of the biggest challenges right now since everything is done virtually? Candidates have had to kind of get up to speed really quick on tech stuff so they could be present for these interviews on these platforms that they might not have been aware of. They're doing virtual interviews, which they may not be comfortable with. Maybe you could talk about a couple of the challenges you've seen in recruitment and maybe some advice for job seekers, how to apply and what you're looking for when you see a resume from that perspective.
Yeah, I think so. The last year has done a couple of things. It's created challenges for talent acquisition departments, but it's also created a lot of opportunity, and it's created a lot of opportunities for candidates. So you used to look at your market. So say it's Toronto and you only apply for jobs in Toronto. In this new virtual world, companies have basically opened up the hiring landscape for, in my situation, we're open anywhere across North America. It was always part of our culture is follow the talent. So if the talent is in the middle of nowhere in Ontario or they're in Toronto, if they can do the job and they're a great, say, dev or they're a great designer, it really doesn't matter. And that has opened up across the world now. So there's an advantage and a disadvantage to that is the competitive pool is now way bigger, but your market of where you can go and compete is now way bigger as well. So there's an advantage and disadvantage. In my space, in reality, it doesn't really matter what your background is. So if I'm hiring designers, your portfolio is a very clear representation of what you can execute and what you can do. And we'll start there. When it comes to, say, a mobile developer, same thing. If you can showcase how you can execute and actually do the job, your background doesn't matter as much. But one of the things outside of this space, probably the number one piece of advice, and this is a challenge across the board, is how do you stand out? A lot of people think that an ATS, which is a tool we use, it's an applicant tracking system where your resumes come in, are kind of a filter or a block, and then a lot of career coaches will give you the advice of how to circumvent those applicant tracking systems. I can tell you right now, that doesn't happen. 99% of resumes out there are read by a recruiter. So how do you stand out? I think one of the things, I'm not really concerned about your format, but I want to see how you have showcased that you can actually do the job. And one of those ways you can actually do that is creating a portfolio. It doesn't matter if you're an accountant, if you're working in the back end in a warehouse. If you can showcase that you actually executed what you said you did on your resume, that can be as simple as a PowerPoint presentation. It can be a very simple website that you create on Adobe or Canvas. So there's many tools. The other one is video. What better way to showcase yourself by creating maybe a 60-second video? TikTok is got a great format to be able to do it if you want to stand out. So those are all little pieces of advice. Like anything else is you need to figure out a way to capture the attention of the recruiter. A recruiter in general will take 12 seconds to read your resume. So make sure there's something in there they can click in, they can dig in deeper. I guess that would be the advice that I would start with.
No, that's great advice. I actually mentioned the whole virtual portfolio, even creating your own website at the beginning of the event here today. So definitely some great advice. I've been seeing some very unique ways to brand yourself and create, that virtual resume. So thank you. Thanks for that advice. Tessa, so Metrolinx obviously recruits for a large number of roles. I see them quite often in the employment space. I see them online. As recruiters, and you're going through, I'm sure you're getting hundreds of applications coming in. Maybe you could talk a little bit about how candidates could stand out or what you're looking for on those resumes. Serge just mentioned, 12 seconds seems to be the magic number of how long someone looks at a resume. So what can candidates do? What's your top advice for what they can do to stand out on their resume when they're applying?
I think the top advice that I would provide in terms of standing out on your resume is to make sure that your resume aligns with what you're looking for. So Serge mentioned a lot about making sure that someone has a portfolio that's available for marketing roles. I absolutely look for that. And for marketing roles, I'm looking for somebody who's expressing their creativity on their resume. But that's not what I'm looking for when I'm looking for a lawyer. I don't want a lawyer who's particularly creative in that way, right? And so when you're going for a particular role, you want to make sure that the resume, which is your marketing tool, is aligned with the nature of the type of the position that you're after. That if you are an engineer, that your engineering projects are clearly laid out and people can see what you've been involved in or what you've had an impact in. Or if it's a position that's about communications, then I expect the communications on your resume to be superior. I expect to find you using sentence structure and phrasing that expresses your talent in that way. And so I'd say definitely making sure that it's cohesive with your brand, that it's cohesive with what you're trying to convey about what you're able to do.
Amazing. Thanks for sharing that. And James, maybe we can chat a little bit about, I want to cover virtual interviews because I just think it's been something that people have had to really quickly fall in line with and be comfortable with. Maybe it's not the most comfortable thing for people to adjust to. So when you're virtually interviewing candidates, do you have any advice for things that maybe you've seen candidates that have made mistakes doing, how they can correct them? What are you looking for when you're virtually interviewing someone? Because I know from a candidate perspective, it's really hard to get that initial interview. So you really don't want to mess it up when you get to the interview stage. And like I said, you might not be particularly as comfortable doing it on a virtual space where you're not being able to read someone's body language. So your top advice for virtual interviews?
Yeah, great topic. And I think number one is don't beat yourself up about it, because if anything COVID has taught us, we're all in the same boat. You'll see it even on the big TV networks. You'll see the kids in the background. You'll see the dogs in the background. So obviously take it seriously and try to contain yourself, get in a quiet environment, but things pop up, things happen. Secondly, obviously when you're on video, making sure to turn off your video when the interview is done. I've had a few clients have sent candidates to saying, oh, the candidate didn't turn off their video, they just kept talking, Just simple little things like that. Just be diligent that, hey, the camera's still on. And I loved your tip about the sticky note and putting the sticky note up by the camera. I think was brilliant. But especially my industry has dramatically increased the technology and work from home movement with construction. Construction has been very, very slow to adapt to virtual interviews. I've been pushing clients to say, hey, can my candidates work from home? No. And now it's almost a norm and a standard. So the virtual interviews, it's just going to become the way of the norm, and being okay with that. And another tip I would almost ask is if you could see a virtual tour of the office. The reason why I say that, I just hired 8 candidates last month who not one of them actually saw the office where they're going to be working when COVID is over. So either going there and driving there if you can, because COVID's opening up, or actually getting a virtual tour or getting a better understanding what that looks like, I think it would be helpful.
That's great advice. I didn't think of that virtual office tour. Serge, do you have a point on that?
Yeah, can I just add one?
Yeah, absolutely.
So one of the things that I've seen a lot doing virtual interviews is a minute before getting an email saying, oh, the link is not working, or I'm having issues logging in. You should be testing out the link at least 15 minutes before, just to make sure there's no issues. So if there is an issue, you can be proactive, and you're basically reaching out to your recruiter telling, hey, I'm having issues. Because I won't fault anyone. If anyone has issues, we'll try to work together. But if it's a minute or on exactly the time and my hiring manager is expecting and you're not on, you're having technical interviews, now you're creating a panic for everyone involved. It's a lot of stress for you, because I've been in that position that I didn't test my camera. Then I'm like, ooh, darn. And then it's not working. So test your video, your audio, make sure everything's working.
Absolutely. And, don't forget to send a thank you to the person you're interviewing. Just because it's virtual, they're still spending the time. And I've seen it dropping quite a bit, the amount that I'm getting those thank you emails with the people that I'm interviewing. Mm-hmm. So, very, very important for you to share that, that quick thank you goes a long way after your interview. That's for sure. So we're getting some questions coming in just about positions, specific company you guys are looking for. So maybe we can just go around quickly and talk about maybe some of the roles. Serge, you made a really good point about, companies now not really, it used to be because you came from the job board world. So postal code search was like the most important thing from a recruiter's perspective. How far are they from, the office or where we live? And I don't think a lot of candidates are realizing now they can apply for jobs. And we just had the city of Calgary on our tech event that we hosted. And they were looking to, hire people. There were so many companies within the city of Calgary looking to hire people from Toronto, not to relocate, but to work from home. And I don't think people are really thinking about look outside of, you know, the GTA or Toronto, because there are companies that will hire you that maybe are in Europe or maybe are, you know, are in Canada. So something to think about, because I don't think a lot of candidates are really thinking about that right now. So I liked that point. But maybe we can start with you and talk about some of the roles that you might be recruiting for, or maybe you can put a link in your to your career site in the chat that we have here, the stage chat. But maybe we can go around the room and just talk about some of the roles.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I talked a bit at the start, it's funny you said City of Calgary, because I'm actually based in Calgary, but we have hired more people in Toronto in the last year than we've hired people in Calgary.
Wow.
And part of it is just the distribution of talent, where the talent is. So just to give you an idea, do look at that. The type of roles that we do hire, so I'll go through quickly the list. We're always looking for full stack web developers, back end, front end devs, yeah, mobile, so iOS or Android. And then on a creative space, we're always looking for visual designers, creative designers, web designers. Those are the roles that I hire by far the most. We also have other roles that we would hire, such as support type roles, customer service. But I would say 98% of the roles we hire are exactly in that space. So if you are looking, you're in that space, you're trying to either junior or more senior and looking to dig in deeper, check out robotsandpencils.com/careers, and I'll put that in the stage notes. But we are hiring like you wouldn't believe. The demand in the market is absolutely crazy. We can't keep up. We could literally hire 100 people a day, and I don't think we could keep up with the demand that we have with our clients. So
that's amazing. Thank you so much. And James, maybe you can, I know you're in the construction specific industry, but maybe you could talk a little bit about roles that you're looking to fill.
So similar to Serge, we have our core typically is not obviously in tech, but construction. We're always looking for really strong project managers on the high-rise residential space and low-rise residential, hopefully with underground parking experience. And we're always looking, I mean, we go right across any builder developer. So right now, the roles we have open is project managers high-rise, both in Toronto and in Ottawa. We have looking for a marketing manager who has a lot of digital asset and corporate marketing experience, a financial controller, as well as customer service manager. So it's right across the grid here, ideally, yes, with some sort of construction background and experience.
Amazing, thanks. And if you want to maybe share your link to your website or something of that nature, that would be great. Yeah. And we'll end with you, Tessa. Any roles that you want to share or your careers link in the stage chat?
Yes, so right now we are looking for equipment engineering officers that work with bus engineering equipment. We are looking for data scientists that work with specifically customer analytics and pricing analytics. We are looking for content specialists and development staff, so transit-oriented development, real estate development, and we're looking for lawyers at a couple of different levels. We are also looking for a couple of law clerks and advertising and promotions coordinators as well. And I will put a link to our career site in the chat.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So awesome. Maybe we can end with like 30 seconds each of kind of our best advice to, I love to leave things on a positive note. So maybe your best advice for someone looking for a job right now. And we'll start with you, Serge, because we only have 2 minutes left.
Okay, I'll go quick. So I think the biggest advice that I can give you is find a way, and I talked about this, is find a way really to stand out. So if it's in your space that you're in creative, leverage your creative skills in how you apply for jobs. Try to find a way to leverage video. Try to find, if you're a lawyer, as you said, make sure that, because I generally don't read cover letters anymore, unless you're applying for a law clerk, lawyer, communications. I will read those, but that's the only time. I'm looking for real concrete examples that you can execute on what you said you can execute. And the only way that I measure that is what you can showcase in a portfolio or anything else. So try to be creative. Really, the market right now, there is a lot more jobs than there is in candidates if we look at the grand scheme of it. So look across North America, look across Canada. The world has changed in the last year. It's really exciting in that sense.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. And James?
Other than coming to great networking events as this, the biggest thing is career clarity. So I have 6 C's for career clarity for anybody to looking at position and comparing and contrasting to what this is and what the next job you should go to. If you want to write these down, feel free. You can throw them out, throw them back, whichever you want to do, keep them. So C, number 1, identifying your core competencies. Number 2, identify the commute, what your commute looks like and set your boundaries. Number 3, compensation. Number 4, culture. 5, C-level. C-level being your executive team, what do they look like, and your direct boss. And number 6, your career growth. Outline those career clarity for yourself, and then use that as your base template to compare and contrast to any jobs you're applying to.
That's amazing. I love this. I was trying to type them in, but I didn't keep up.
So I can type them in.
Guys.
That's okay.
And Tessa, we'll end with you, and then I'll just do some wrap-up concluding remarks.
All right. I would say that in terms of being able to stand out, make sure that you are prepared. Make sure that your marketing materials are prepared. Make sure that you have your individual branding sales pitch about what you do prepared, so that when you do receive that call, you're able to convey succinctly why it should be you and not somebody else. I'd say preparation is key. Keep in mind your biggest projects and achievements and be able to describe them and showcase them in your interview, on your resume, throughout the process. I think it's really, really important. Can't stress it enough. Prepare, prepare, prepare.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much to our panelists for being here. We really, really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join us today and give advice. Things are starting to look hopeful. Things are opening up. I'm seeing a lot more companies, obviously, with things reopening, starting to do a lot more hiring. I think after this, the world's going to come out to be a more efficient and better place. I think there's going to be more opportunity for everyone, just different opportunity in different sectors. And, it's a matter of keeping up with those industry trends and all the advice that we gave today in terms of really shifting your job search and being creative and making sure that you're, branding yourself out there as, a star candidate. It's very important. And I think you should work on it every day. You should have 3 hours a day where you set goals for yourself and you try to attain those goals. It makes you feel good when you set goals and you attain them, even if you're, in the process of looking for a job, it still keeps you motivated. So we hope that today was super successful. We hope that you were able to connect with some recruiters on the platform. Really want to thank you on behalf of TorontoJobs.ca for being here. We also do recruiting. So if you are interested in applying to any of our roles, we have a lot of different positions. We specialize in accounting and finance, but we have roles across the board. We have an admin job right now. We have a sales position. So if you go to TorontoJobs.ca, all that information will be there. We host a variety of job seeker events for bilingual students, tech. So if you go to TorontoJobs.ca/news, you can find all of our upcoming events listed there. And then we're very active on social media. We just reached 100,000 followers and members across our platforms. So that was pretty awesome. We are, every day posting articles, blogs, doing these types of events. We share information for registration for our events and things like that. So definitely join us online, join our community. We are very interactive and happy to help anyone that comes across, as comes to us and needs our assistance. We've had very experienced recruiters and we've been in the industry for a long time. So again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you to all of our companies and thank you to you panelists and everyone that attended. It's thunderstorming here now. So there was a lot of thunder. I was like, I don't know if they can hear this on the screen. But enjoy your afternoon if you can get outside where you are. I'm in Milton and it's thunderstorming. So but enjoy your afternoon. I think the expo and the networking will still be open for a little while longer, but the panel is finished now, and we really appreciate you being here. So thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
Thank you for having us.
Wonderful candidate today.
Thanks so much. Yes, you too.